Okay, I just could see the,
George, can you record? Hi,
yes.
welcome everybody to the MAP Talk on Disability Employment in Tucson. If you give me just 1 minute, I am having trouble getting our recording going here.
We're recording, Jennifer. You can go ahead.
All right, perfect. All right, so today we have a great lineup of speakers for our MAP Talk on Disability and Employment, and welcome everyone. I'll do formal introductions of everyone in a few minutes before their presentations, but we have Natalia Brown, the CEO of the Beacon Group, joining us, Jim Click from Jim Click Automotive, Beatriz Del Campo Carmona, research economist in the Economic and Business Research Center from the Eller College of Management at the University of Arizona, and we have Lori Sandonay she's a systems change liaison from the Sonoran Center Excellence in Disabilities at the University of Arizona. Before we welcome our speakers, I'd like to just talk about a little bit of the logistics for today's meeting. All of our MAP talks are recorded. We'll post them on the MAP website. You'll be able to find it there tomorrow, probably late morning sometime tomorrow. We'll also post all of our presenter slides that are available to us to post. So you'll be able to find the slides and the recordings. We encourage you to share it with your colleagues that were not able to attend. Everyone will be in conference mode, meaning you'll be muted except for the presenters will be able to share their screens. And then we encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll find like a Q&A box. We encourage you to ask your questions there. And what we'll do is you ask your questions throughout each of the presentations, and then we'll save all Q&A until the end. And we'll have about 30 minutes to go through all of those questions, and our presenters will answer those questions at the end of their presentations today. You're also welcome to email me questions at any time. My email there is at the bottom of your screen. We'd like to thank our MAP partners and sustaining sponsors for their continued support of the MAP project. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary here in December. And so really all of our partners and sponsors have been with us for almost all of those 10 years. And so our sustaining sponsors include the Freeport-McMoran Foundation, New Point Marketing and Market Research, the Thomas R. Brown Family Foundation, and Tucson Electric Power. Our partners include the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona, Pima Association of Governments, Southern Arizona Leadership Council, Sun Corridor Incorporated, and the University of Arizona. And we'd also like to thank the Arizona Daily Star. They publish 2 MAP features each month. On the last Sunday of the month, you can find an economic business related feature on the front page of the business section. And then the third Monday of each month, you can find a health related feature there on the health page. So now I would like to welcome Jim Click from Jim Click Automotive. Jim Click graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's degree in business. He moved to Tucson in 1971 and purchased his first dealership. Disabilities has always been at the center of Jim Click's family focus. In 1975, he was one of the first Tucson employers to offer a workstation for people with developmental disabilities through the Beacon Foundation. Today, Jim employs 68 individuals with disabilities at his dealerships. In 1999, President Bill Clinton presented Jim with the President's Award from the Committee of Employment of People with Disabilities for his leadership in the development of Linkages, which is a unique nonprofit organization that matches individuals with disabilities with employment opportunities. Welcome, Jim. It's really an honor to have you here with us today. I'm going to turn off my screen and hand things over to you.
Okay. I can see you nice and bright there, Jennifer. Well, thanks, Jennifer, for having me and everybody on the call. I'm thrilled that Beacon Foundation is on the call with me. Just a little background on Vicki and I and why we love people with disabilities. I think as a young man, I always had this wonderful feeling about people with disabilities. Then when I married Vicki, she had a disabled sister. And when I came to Tucson in 1971, Jerry McClure who was my chief financial officer and helped me grow my businesses to where they are today, had a severely disabled son. And Jerry had some other people with developing disabilities in his family. Along the way, I had an employee break his neck, and I had the opportunity to help this young man go to Craig and get back to work, go back to the University of Arizona, where he participated in adaptive athletics. And that's kind of how I got started adaptive athletics for people with disabilities, but it all started in '75 when some person, I wish I remembered their name to tell you, but they came and said, we think your business has got skills or jobs that people with disabilities can perform. And we'd like to do a survey of your business, and we'll come back and recommend. So I talked to my team. We didn't have very many employees at that time, but they came back and said, yeah, you've got a lot of jobs in your dealership that we think clients of ours. And while we're talking about that, I think rehab in this country, and Natalia can speak to it as well, does a wonderful job of getting people who are born with a disability or become disabled as a result of an accident or tragedy, getting them work ready. And I think that the issue with them was trying to find a way to let sure businesses know it's just damn good business to hire people with disabilities. It is not charity. It is an investment in people who can do a great job for you. And so today, 50 years later almost, we have the 68 people from the Beacon Foundation. They're some of the best teammates we have. They show up, they wear the uniform, they always speak to each other, and they speak to the rest of the team. My wife makes sure they have the uniforms, got a place to go for lunch. She's been a great help. So I want you all to know that Beacon really made it easy for my company to do what we do with people with developmental disabilities. And later on, I want to know why car dealers throughout the country couldn't do the same thing. So I went to see the Department of Labor when Reagan was president, Justin Dart, who helped get the American with Disabilities Act started. He was a friend of Mr. Tuttle's, and it just didn't work. And then there was a lady here one day that said, you need to do this. And so I met with all the rehab agencies in Tucson, and I found out they're a hell of a lot better managers than I am. I remember the guy that ran the one for really tough kids. He had taught them how to do gardening work. And he told me one day, if you'll shut up and we can get on with this meeting, we'll make some progress. And we did. And they came up with the idea of linkages, which we started. We really got the HR managers in our community excited about it. They actually really, and like anything else, if you don't stay with it, we merged that eventually with Direct. I'm going to meet with Dan Ranieri, who was, and by the way, there were so many wonderful people in the rehab agency and other agencies in our community, and I can't tell you the great deal of respect I have for them for what they're doing. My most recent thing we tried to do is when JTED came to me with the Zuckerman High School to teach some kids in the JTED program medical skills while we were doing linkages. A lady back in Cleveland decided, she was a nurse, and she said, we have a lot of clients that are disabled. Why aren't we hiring people with disabilities? She started a program called Project Search, where they take kids from the high school system that are in special ed, get them a skill so when they graduate high school, they don't have to go back and live with mom and dad. They can be creative, they can be productive, and they can work in a business. So the gift I gave, I don't like to give gifts with strings, but I said I'll do this if you all will make sure that my gift helps get more kids through special ed in our school systems, because all of us on this, we know we keep them in the school system till they're 21, and when they age out, there's no place for them to go. So they need a job. And I hope JTED, I'm going to meet with them pretty soon. So one other quick story, and these are just things that happened to me. It wasn't planned. It just happened. But when I had a individual break his neck, I did get him to the Craig Institute, and we were able to then start hiring people with disabilities. I've got Joey Engineering, now who broke his neck right out of high school. He's now our top salesperson in our company, our biggest producer. He came from the adaptive athlete department. So I just like to say that the Click family's been blessed, and I think as a result of what we do in our community, it's just been it hasn't been I've loved it. I love seeing these kids at work. I love seeing Joe Engineering do what he's doing. So I've got to take a great deal of pride in what we've been able to accomplish with people with disabilities. And I just wish, George, I appreciate what you all are doing. I think you'll find that the employment level with people with disabilities is way too high, especially for the ones that want to work. So I think to get businesses in our community to start working with the rehab agencies, again, who do a great job in this whole country. And then get people like Joy Engineering, they're coming out of colleges. The other young man that I had break his neck that we got back to school, got him to the U of A. He got an accounting degree, and every big 8 accounting firm, as soon as they saw he was in a wheelchair, they didn't hire him. He's now a chief financial officer in our company. He makes really good income. He's been an inspiration to our teammates, just like the Beacon kids are. So Kim Click's been blessed. We were blessed to have Michelle, Vicky's sister, and Terry McClure's son. And I'll be glad to take any questions, but I know you all have got other speakers. But I just want you to know it's good business to hire people with disabilities. It is not, Beacon has made it real easy for the Click family, for the Click company to do what we do. And I know there's other agencies in town that'll do the same for other employers. So if we just get the business community to realize it's good business, I think we can make a real dent in the unemployment rate for people with disabilities.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Thanks so much for joining us. And I know I don't think you're planning to stay for the entire presentation, so I am going to ask you, we did have one comment while you were speaking, and that is, thank you for all you do, Jim. And are there any lessons learned or things you would recommend to other organizations that are looking to hire developmentally disabled employees?
Sure. They can call direct and ask for the linkages director. The young man we've got running it now would be very helpful to them, connecting them with rehab agencies. That's what linkages originally did. Our job was to connect businesses with the agencies. Then we found out there were a lot of people sitting at home with disabilities, and we started trying to help them as well. So I wish I could tell you I was still active, involved in it. I'm not as much as I was, but one thing that Vicki and I are going to do before we pass on is make sure that some of our legacy is helping people with disabilities.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Jim. Really, thank you for all the work that you've done around this topic, and it's great to hear about the connection with Beacon Group, and we'll hear from them later today. But thank you for joining us. Really honored to have you on with us today. And so I think, our next speaker, Beatriz Del Campo Carmona, is going to talk about a lot of the data surrounding disabilities and what we're looking at for employment and what that looks like for the state compared to the nation. So I'm now going to welcome her. And Jim, you're free to turn off your video if you'd like, and you can stay and join us if you
Well, I've got a meeting. I want you all to know I was lucky enough to spend 3 days in Idaho. One other thing. My ranch manager has a son. His name is Dario, and he's a Down syndrome. And we've arranged for maybe in that community, there is an adaptive athletic program up there, believe it or not, for kids with disabilities. And we're now trying to get a home started up there for Dario, like we have in Tucson.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Live and they can prosper and do well. So God bless everybody on the call. Thank you for taking this on and letting the community at large know that this is it'd be a good investment for business to do this. It's not difficult. And by the way, TEP, and there's some companies in this community that have just been wonderful with different agencies in our community. And I think Natalia could probably speak to that as well. So Natalia, thanks so much for what you've done for my company.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Good to have you.
bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
God
And
bless
now-
all of you doing this. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll welcome Beatriz Del Campo Carmona now. She's a research economist in the Economic and Business Research Center at the University of Arizona's Eller College of Management. BEA supports the MAP Dashboard Project and the Forecasting Project by analyzing data across a broad range of socioeconomic indicators. Before joining the Economic and Business Research Center, Beatriz worked as a business analyst for European investment firms and a major bank in Spain. Today, BEA will report her findings from a series of articles she published on disabilities on the MAP dashboard. So we'll take a look at the data, and then I'll also later show you at the end of today's presentation how you can access those articles that that we've published. Welcome, Bea. It's wonderful to have you, and I'll hand things over to you.
Thanks, Jennifer, for that great introduction. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm eager to engage with today's topic. My presentation will approach questions about disability and how it connects to education access, job opportunities, and income in the US, with a special focus on Arizona and the Tucson metropolitan statistical area. As we explore the topic of disability in the labor market, I want to emphasize that I will be using inclusive language throughout this presentation. I recognize that definition of disability can vary significantly based on context and individual preferences. My goal is to respect and honor those differences as we discuss these important issues together. I'm going to address the following questions. How does disability status impact educational and employment outcomes? What specific barriers do individuals with disability face in accessing education and employment? And how do the earnings of people with disabilities compare to those without disabilities? This analysis is focusing on the disability status in 2022, and the main source is the US Census Bureau, in particular the American Community Survey, 5-year estimate. Education plays a crucial role in improving the job prospects of individuals with disabilities. Education attainment can significantly influence their employment opportunities and income levels, but disparity still exists based on the type and severity of the disability. Access to quality education can empower individuals with disability, helping to dismantle stereotypes and barriers. Inclusive education fosters understanding and collaboration, creating a more inclusive society where everyone can contribute. According to data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, earnings increase and unemployment decreases as education attainment rises. Disabled people with a bachelor's degree are significantly more likely to obtain employment than those with a high school diploma and no post-secondary degree. As an example of this, in 2022, the employment rate for individuals with disabilities holding a bachelor's degree or higher was 30.8%, while those with some college to associate degree stood at 23.9%, and high school graduates were at 16.4%. This table displays the education attainment of individuals with disability, age 25 and older, in comparison to the education attainment of the overall population. In 2022, the educational achievement of individuals with disability in the US, Arizona, and Tucson was lower compared to the overall population. Nationally, 34.7% of the population obtained a bachelor's degree or higher, whereas only 19.4% of individuals with disability had reached this educational attainment. In Arizona, the percentage who obtained a bachelor's degree or higher stands at 21.1% compared to 32.2% for the overall population. In Tucson, 24.9% of disabled individuals achieved a bachelor's degree or higher, in contrast to 35.4% for the total population. Arizona and Tucson had a high percentage of disabled individuals with some college or associate degree compared to the national average for that demographic group, which was 28.8%. This bar chart shows the percentage of population with disability by level of education in the US, Arizona, and Tucson. In 2022, Tucson had a higher percentage of residents with disability holding a bachelor's degree or higher at 24.9%, compared to the national average of 19.4% and the state average of 21.1%. On the flip side, Tucson posted a relatively small set of people with disability who reported a high school or equivalent as the highest education level, 25.3%, compared to the US, 53.4%. Education provides individuals with disability the opportunity to obtain skills and knowledge relevant to the job market. However, even when rules promoting diversity in the workplace, people with disability still encounter unequal employment opportunities. Now I'm going to talk about 4 selected employment characteristics in Arizona for those with and without a disability. First one, employment rates were substantially lower for individuals who had a disability compared to those without, around 43% and 76% respectively. You can also see this gap when looking at full-time employment, where only about 54% of individuals with disability have full-time jobs, compared to roughly 61% of those without disabilities. In 2022, among individuals not participating in the labor force, only 24% were identified as having a disability, while the remaining 76% did not have a disability. The last employment characteristic to consider is the median earnings, showing that people with disability make, on average, around $11,400 less than those without disabilities. Understanding employment share is crucial not only for creating inclusive workplaces, but also for enhancing productivity and innovation across industries. Arizona's employment rate of 42.9% for individuals with a disability in 2022 was 2.7 percentage points higher than the US. Nevertheless, Arizona's rate fell far behind the rate of other states. In fact, Arizona ranked 19th out of all states. In this figure, we can observe the employment rates of people with disability in 2022 across the 10 Western Map dashboard states. Arizona came in 5th place, while Utah topped the list with a 52.7%, and New Mexico was at the bottom with 36.5%. Now, let's take a closer look at the current employment landscape for the individual with disability across industry. To show you this, I'm going to take you to the map website where we have some interactive chart to explain the data. This pie chart shows the employment rate, and if you click on the drop-down menu, you can view the rates for the US, Arizona, and Tucson. In 2022, among individuals with disability, the employment rate in the educational and health services sector was 22.4% nationally, 21.4% in Arizona, and 23% in Tucson. This sector represented the largest industry of employment for people with disability in 2022, followed by the retail trade industry. Go back to the presentation. The following graph illustrates the employment rate for individuals with disability in the US, Arizona, and Tucson between 2015 and 2022. Arizona experienced an increase of 9.4 percentage points from this time frame, whereas Tucson saw a rise of 7.6 percentage points during the same period. In comparison, the national rate grew by 6.2 percentage points. According to the report Disabilities by the American Institute for Research, earnings inequalities clearly exist between people with and without disability, despite of their level of educational attainment. Surprisingly, the gap in earnings inequality widens as educational attainment increases. The greatest earnings inequalities occur among those with a master's degree or higher, Workers with disability earn less than their non-disabled counterparts in terms of hourly, weekly, and monthly earnings. This figure represents the median annual wage for workers with disability in 2022, population 16 years and over. In the US, the median annual wage for working with disability was $29,382. Workers without disability earn $15,931 more per year on average. In 2022, workers with disability in Tucson reported annual median wages of $26,851. These median wages were $9,481 lower than those of non-disabled workers and $2,531 lower than the national average. In 2022, among 10 Western states tracked by the MAP dashboard, 6 surpassed the national annual median wages for workers with disabilities. Washington reported the highest annual median wages and Idaho the lowest. Employees with disability in Arizona earn 3.5% more than the national median salary. That means $1,018 more. Now, let's explore the income disparities between men and women with disability in the workforce. This interactive map in figure 8 in the article visualizes the difference between male and female workers with disability among 10 Western map dashboard. Among 10 Western states, women with disability had lower median wages than men with disability. In Arizona, disabled women earn 81.8% of what disabled men did. In Utah, the ratio was 62.9%, the largest disability gender wage gap. In Nevada, the ratio was 82.8%, marking the smallest gender wage gap for disabled individuals among the states that were analyzed. The MAP dashboard will keep tracking the data, ensuring we have access to up-to-date insights on the employment landscape for individuals with disability. This constant tracking is crucial for identifying trends, evaluating how well the community programs are working, and making important decisions. By using this information, we can collaborate to build more inclusive workplaces and create a supportive environment that empowers individuals with disability to thrive. Thank you for your time and for joining me in this important topic today.
Thank you, Bea. Thank you for presenting that data. I will show everyone later how to access that article. There's a great series of 3 articles that Bea wrote on a much wider range of data and information available on the MAP dashboard. So a little bit later, I'll show you guys how to access all of those articles, including what Bea presented today. Thank you. So now I would like to welcome Natalia Brown. Natalia, you're welcome to turn on your screen and start your PowerPoint presentation. Natalia Brown is the President CEO of Beacon Group. It's a nonprofit organization providing employment services to people with disabilities. She previously served as the CFO of the Beacon Group for nearly 10 years. Ms. Brown is a certified public accountant. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration with concentrations in accounting and finance from the University of Michigan Flint. In addition, she has completed various certificate programs, including ASU's Nonprofit Executive Leadership Program and the U of A's Eller Executive Education Nonprofit Leadership and Management Program, as well as the Greater Tucson Leadership Program. Ms. Brown is an active steward of the community, serving as director on multiple boards and committees, as well as participating and engaging in organizations for people with disabilities and other important causes. Natalia, we're so glad you're able to join us today and to discuss the important work that the Beacon Group is doing.
Thank you, Jennifer, very much for that kind introduction. And I have to also thank Jim Click, although he's not on the line anymore, but that was amazing shout out to Beacon Group and to our now almost 50-year partnership together. So I am here today to talk about Beacon Group and how we are working towards bridging the employment gap for people with disabilities. Beacon Group is a nonprofit organization, and we were founded in 1952 We are headquartered in Tucson, Arizona, but we operate all over Southern Arizona and in the Phoenix area. We also are located in Utah and Texas and operate federal contracts there, staffed by people with disabilities, although we do not currently provide employment training services in states outside of Arizona. Our mission is to create opportunities for people with disabilities, and primarily those opportunities are employment and vocational skills focused. Our vision is for Beacon Group to be a national rehabilitation service leader in a society where people with disabilities live meaningful and fulfilling lives. And we'll accomplish our vision by achieving excellence in everything we do, promoting growth and innovation, encouraging engagement and employment choices, and demonstrating accountability and sustainability. So why should everyone care about this topic that we are discussing here today? And it's because so many of us have disabilities, and we never know if one of us will be personally affected. In 2022, over 13% of Arizonans reported having a disability. As far as people of employment age, more than half of people with disabilities from between 18 and 64 years of age in Arizona don't have a job. In fact, using 2022 data, it's 57%. So about 450,000 people with disabilities live in Arizona. Using the exact same data that Beatrice just shared with us. So about 43% of those people are employed, 5.5% are unemployed, and almost 52% are just not in the labor force. And comparing that to people without disabilities, 76% are employed, 3.8% are unemployed, and slightly below 20% are not in the labor force. So there is quite an employment gap that we are working to close. So, why does employment matter? For people with disabilities, especially, employment means purpose, pride, and a paycheck. It's an opportunity to use their skills. They are active participants in the community. And of course, a paycheck is a greater economic self-sufficiency. These are really the same things that employment means to people without disabilities. We just don't think about it on a daily basis. But think about what would you do and how would you feel if you didn't have a job? And I think you would realize all these things that people with disabilities are looking for as well. So we have been in business for 72 years of creating fulfilling employment opportunities. Individuals receiving services from organizations like Beacon that are able to provide supports while providing employment choices, they indicate that they have higher fulfillment than most workers, as measured by their perceived impact, personal growth, and relationships from the work that they do. While the overall all industry fulfillment was measured at about 30%. And that's using some of the Gallup research as well as National Council for Source America Employers Survey. So Beacon Group serves a wide spectrum of disabilities. It ranges from developmental disabilities, serious mental illness, learning disabilities, physical disabilities, substance abuse disorders. And because of that, we are offering a wide variety of employment choices to match every person that comes to us. So through a variety of programs and services, Beacon supports the achievement of employment goals for the people with disabilities we serve. We are also one of the largest employers of people with disabilities in Arizona. And in fiscal year 2023, we served over 2,200 people with disabilities. We served over 700 people in supported employment. That's where we offer on-the-job job coaching support along with our members. We've served over 500 people through work readiness programs. We've supported more than 130 people in our Wolves program, and there is more information about our Wolves program to come. And we facilitated 451 job placements into competitive employment opportunities. For fiscal year 2024, which just ended for us in September, we're still finalizing our results, but I can share with you that we're estimating about 500 job placements with an average $17 hourly wage, working an average of 20 hours per week. So how do we achieve our mission? Well, we do it two ways. We offer direct services. So those are those employment services that I've mentioned. And we also offer business solutions. And by doing that, we're able to fulfill our mission. So Beacon Group excels in providing a diverse array of program services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And those services range from daytime programs focused on social and volunteering activities and vocational skills to center-based employment, offering job training and support within Beacon Group's building, to group and individual supported employment, offering job training and support within a community setting. Additionally, we offer various services to people with behavioral health diagnosis and those searching for employment through the vocational rehabilitation system, as well as Social Security Administration's Ticket to Work program. We offer 90-day on-the-job work adjustment training, computer skills, education skills training, and our job development and placement initiatives successfully integrate individuals into jobs beyond Beacon Group. These services allow us to serve people with significant developmental disabilities that need daily job coaching, full-time support, as well as people who need assistance writing a resume, practicing their interviewing skills, and just getting back into the workforce. We at Beacon Group believe that people with disabilities have a voice and should choose their own employment journey. Every person with a disability is unique, just like their own disability is unique. And each person is at a different stage in this journey. Do they feel ready for employment? Do they feel ready for employment outside Beacon's walls, whether working for Beacon or another employer? And we are here to meet them where they are and support them however we can. And that is why choice is such an important value of Beacon Group. We have seen great success in the people with significant developmental disabilities making progressive moves from one program to another at Beacon, especially in our Wolves program, increasing their independence. However, we have also seen the struggle in gaining and maintaining employment after making a progressive move from employment at Beacon to employment outside Beacon. The supports available to people with disabilities significantly decrease after they become employed by an employer that is not an organization serving people with disabilities. When we employ somebody with a disability at Beacon that was previously receiving job coaching services and now no longer needs those, that person has been more successful working with Beacon due to our mission. We all are their support system. For example, of those 500 competitive employment placements that I mentioned that were achieved in fiscal year 2024, unfortunately, only 5 of those people were people with developmental disabilities, and only 2 of them maintained the job past 14 days. They both work part-time, and the first person has a job coach that supports them 100% of the time that they work. And the second person works at Beacon as a staff member without a job coach, but it was a naturally supported environment. Currently, we have about 15 members that have been able to maintain their job outside of Beacon Group, some of them for years, and we continue to provide ongoing job coach supports to them, with the majority of those people receiving those supports 100% of the time, and others ranging from a few times per week to once a month. Once people with disabilities are hired and trained, however, they do a great job. They stay in their job, they're loyal, they value that paycheck, they have pride in their work. The big thing is having the right supports to maintain that employment. I think one of the big important items is education of employers in the community. It should go beyond the diversity goals. In order for those goals to work, everyone in our community, as well as the business community, really needs to understand how to best support people with disabilities in the workplace. Employers should also be open to hiring people with disabilities and understand that the job requirements still need to be met with or without reasonable accommodations. And a job coach provided by Beacon Group could be considered a reasonable accommodation based on the individual assessment of the individual, the job, and the business needs. And finally, the big thing is that funding is necessary to provide those ongoing supports by providers like Beacon Group. So wolves. So I mentioned that term before. So what is this? We started this program in April 22 as an innovative and unique employment focused vocational program to serve people with disabilities with low productivity work skills, but with a high desire to work. So why is Wolves unique? Well, it combines a few things that we've already been doing, but really puts everything into a single program. So the members that we have in Wolves program, they build new skills or develop existing skills to improve employability in the workplace, such as counting and handling money, customer service, employer and employee interactions, hands-on job training, food handling and kitchen safety, office and administration support training. They also participate in fundraising opportunities, such as preparing and serving food, sewing, painting, crafting, marketing and selling a variety of handmade foods and products that are created in the Wolves program. And all those proceeds that are raised by members in the Wolves program will go directly to support the program. Members of the Wolves program also volunteer with community partner nonprofit organizations to improve their work skills, increase their exposure to a variety of work environments, and build connections. They also receive computer skills training, such as typing and word processing, safe and appropriate internet use, job search and application support. They team up with our day treatment program that is only offering social skills, and our Wolves members visit our daytime program adults and offer peer support to those participants. They talk about their own experience with vocational skills training as well as actual employment. They build their leadership skills. They go through self-advocacy training. They learn how to speak up for themselves. And finally, the dual enrollment in both our center-based employment program and the Wolves program allows members to continue their existing familiar employment while expanding their skills and opportunities. They also may participate in group-supported employment opportunities in a safe, comfortable setting and try out jobs outside of Beacon's walls. And this is where we've seen our biggest success with progressive moves and exposing people with disabilities to different employment settings that are available. And so these are some of our Wolves members working and volunteering. So the other side of Beacon services are the business solutions that we offer to the community. They vary widely as far as what we can do. We provide mechanical and electrical assembly to small businesses, especially kitting, packaging, filling. We offer fulfillment and warehousing support. We provide a lot of custodial landscaping services right now to businesses out in the Tucson and Phoenix area. We offer vehicle and power washing. And as Jim Click mentioned, vehicle washing has been a project of ours for over 50 years was Jim Click, and we have also worked with other dealerships in our area. We also offer document destruction, shredding and recycling of documents, hard drives, and media. And we also offer on-site customized staffing services. So any job you have, we come to you, we figure out how we can do the job, and we will bring our job coach and the members we serve to your work sites and get the work done. As Jim Click called out, it is good business, excuse me, to work with organizations like Beacon Group. Other businesses that work with us also report that hiring a qualified person with a disability makes solid business sense. Some return on investment factors reduce costs. So recruitment and job coachings are cost-free to companies that work with us. In addition, businesses may be able to take advantage of the tax credits that are available. Businesses also report increased revenues achieved through innovation, freeing up resources, and improved productivity and access to new markets. In addition, candidate retention is high with Beacon placements, particularly compared to other options of hiring part-time workers. Studies have shown that businesses that embrace disabilities inclusion experience better productivity, quality, and safety records. People with disabilities are known for well-honed problem-solving skills and a high level of adaptability. Creating disability-inclusive, diverse teams has been shown to foster workplace innovation, leading to new product and service development, more efficient business processes, and enriched talent acquisition and retention. Expert consulting tailored to the needs of the employee and the employer are available at no cost to the organization for up to 3 months and sometimes beyond. And finally, it creates a positive image for the organization that impacts prospective customers, employees, and business partnerships. So we need your help to help people with disabilities get jobs. And there are 3 ways you can get involved. One of them is contract with Beacon Group for business services. And the easiest way to support our employment services on the business side is contracting with our document destruction division, Beacon Secure. We are already in hundreds of business locations in Southern Arizona and would love to serve your business needs as well. It's a small way to also bring diversity into your business, as our customer service representatives will arrive with a person with a disability receiving employment training services and will service your office. Another way is to refer people with disabilities in search of employment services to Beacon Group and organizations like Beacon Group. And finally, we of course appreciate donations via your employer giving programs or the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit. And if you have any other questions, of course, I'll be available to answer them at the end of our presentation. But also, please visit beacongroup.org for additional information.
Natalia, thank
Thank you
so
very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really love learning what the Beacon Group has done for the disabled community and also ways that we can get involved and help the Beacon Group do more really great work. So thank you so much for joining us. And now I would like to invite Lori Sandine, sorry about that, about rejoining. She recently rejoined the University of Arizona's Sonoran Center for Excellence in Disabilities as a systems change liaison. As a committed leader, Lori focuses on fostering inclusive employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Her work at the Sonoran Center includes leading the Customized Employment Pilot Project. Lori's recent achievements include guiding the Opportunity Trees transition from center-based to competitive integrated employment. She serves on the board of the Arizona Association of People Supporting Employment First, advocating for employment first policies and the end of subminimal wages. Lori also shares her experiences as a woman of color in leadership roles, promoting allyship and advocating for systemic change towards a more inclusive society. Welcome, Lori. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to first start by expressing my gratitude for being here with Natalia and Beatrice and having this really important conversation with all of you, because disability inclusion in the workforce is a valuable and an important topic. So thank you to George and Jennifer for having us and having this conversation, especially in the month of October, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, or also known as NADEEM. So it's perfect timing, and really, it is an honor to join you guys today. Beatrice and Natalia both highlighted really crucial points about the current state of employment for individuals with disabilities in Arizona. So I really appreciate you guys setting kind of the landscape or the foundation of what I want to talk about today in the perspective from the Sonoran Center. The Sonoran Center is a University Center for Excellence in Disability with the University of Arizona. And our main vision is that we ensure that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the supports they need to fully participate in the vibrant life of our community. And my focus as a systems change liaison is employment. To accomplish this goal, though, the Sonoran Center also looks at other parts like capacity building, infrastructure development, and fostering leadership to establish programs and recognize leaders in the disability within Arizona and across the nation. But I'm excited to share with you the vision that I'm deeply passionate about, which is a belief that everyone can work. And over the next 20 minutes, we'll explore what that means in our community, Tucson and in Arizona, and how each of us can plays a role in implementing Employment First. Okay. So thanks for that. At the core of Employment First is a simple yet powerful belief that everyone can work. And when I go about the state training about Employment First, I often say that it's simple, but not easy. And really, what does this mean? What does it mean? It means recognizing and valuing the abilities and contributions of all individuals, including those with disabilities. But it also means creating opportunities where people can engage in competitive integrative employment alongside their peers without disabilities. So when I talk about competitive integrative employment, it means that they are earning the same rate of pay that others doing the same job are doing. And it also means that they are out in the community with working alongside other people without disabilities. So competitive integrated employment means working alongside people without disabilities at the same rate of pay. Another way you guys might heard it, and sometimes is kind of our catchphrase, real work for real pay. And today we'll delve deeper into why this belief is crucial and how it benefits individuals, but not only individuals, but also employers and our community when we all have that kind of employment first philosophy or belief. The other words I use are expectation, initiatives. So it's not a service, it's a belief and an expectation that everyone can work. And I know that probably while you guys are hearing this, like, yeah, we know people can work, but there's a lot of around people seeing people with abilities and capabilities to work, especially people with the most significant disabilities. So this is a video that I want to share. I'm not sure we have sound, but I want to kind of make it work. So what I'm going to do is kind of narrate what happens. There are captions, but I want to share Justin's competitive integrative employment. And what I love about this is that Justin is supported by Beacon Group. And it's one reason why I decided to share his story today with Natalia on the call as well today. So you'll be able to see it, and I'll do my best to kind of read what's going on for you too, but you should be able to read the captions. So I was officially diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 1991 at the age of 2. I started working here at the JW Marriott Star Pass, and I did get some assistance from my affiliates. I was looking through applications and putting through a resume, of course, and it wasn't easy at first, but you just got to put the thought into it to motivate yourself and get stuff done. We go out and help them at their job location, basically guiding them, working with them from everything from, Justin, and he might do the dishes. We might help him do the dishes. And we're there just to guide him and help him stay on task. He's so very capable at what he does. A lot of his improvements are around like his overall just mindset towards his job. His recent goal was trying to expand him outward to help him find another position with him here. And we since talked to his supervisor to help him achieve that goal by creating goals for himself so that he can look forward to applying for those. So back to Justin, they help him know and give him advice and going through and how he can improve and how he can actually get around to the obstacles. A lot of people with disabilities tend to be overlooked. And when we're looking for a job, you talk to an employer, you're kind of afraid to really say what kind of disability you have. So people who help you learn about your disability and also become advocates to get you into the positions and help explain those to employers. This is someone who might have a disability, but they're capable. To me personally, getting a job gives you a sense of purpose, the purpose of what you want to do in life. You got to work for it. And when it's supported with a good, healthy team, you'll get further in life. I hope that you guys were able to kind of get what that video was about. I felt like it was really important to share, and I just really appreciate Justin sharing that with all of us. Justin exemplifies how, when given the opportunity, people with disabilities can work and contribute to the workforce. So let's dig a little deeper. Beatrice did a great job sharing where we stand in Arizona for people with disabilities when it comes to employment. She shared that employment rates are substantially lower for individuals with a disability. In addition, earnings reflect less pay for individuals that have a disability. Her chart depicted the percentage of individuals with disabilities who were employed by state, shows that Arizona has more work to do. But this also raises an important question: why are employment rates and earnings so much lower for individuals with disabilities? And a significant factor is the stigma and low expectations surrounding individuals with disabilities. I really appreciated hearing Jim Click talk today about his experiences and that how it's been good business for him and that he's seen people for what they can do, and really sharing like his passion or his intentional acts to hire people with disabilities. And stigma and low expectations is one reason why Employment First even exists. For example, a study done by the Kessler Foundation found that 42% of employers believe that the work performance of people with disabilities would be lower than that of other employers. That was the belief. This misconception directly impacts hiring decisions and limits the opportunities for capable individuals, specifically people with disabilities. But it's not just employers. Like, I don't want to put this onus on just them. It's all of us. And the great thing about Employment First and the work as I travel throughout the state is that it's not just one group. It's not just parents. It's not just schools. It's not just employers. It's all of us. It takes all of us to recognize that people with disabilities, or just people with significant disabilities, have abilities, capabilities, strengths, things that they can offer and contribute to employers and contribute to our community. So these misconceptions not only limit opportunities, but also prevent employers from benefiting from a diverse and talented workforce. Jim Clip kind of said it. Our organization would not be the same. He values what they bring to them. He values Beacon Group and that collaboration. And it's not just how it benefits people with disabilities, but it's also how it benefits our community, how it benefits our employers. And by challenging these stigmas and raising our expectations, we can create a more inclusive workplace where everyone has the opportunity to contribute and succeed. And I would really like to take a minute, and we're going to take it from the flip of the narrative and flip what we're seeing here, which is from disability to ability, focus on what the individuals can do rather than what they can't. I once had a parent said to me, and I get this, I have parents say this a lot to me, some version of it is, what, you're going to find him a job? He can't even boil water. And my response is, well, then we won't get him a job boiling water. We're going to find out what he can do. And a lot of times when we switch that narrative, like, okay, thank you for sharing all those on what he can't do, but Mom, do you mind sharing with me what he can do? It's really kind of a different mind shift. And I think just in our personal lives and our professional lives, looking with our coworkers and looking at maybe our children or other people, like looking at them with that lens of what they can do and what their strengths are has been really a mind shift. And the other thing is we're going to go from limitations to strengths, recognizing the unique skills and perspectives that people with disabilities bring to the table. So listening to them, having people really seeing what is unique about them as skills and contributions. And then we're going to go from exclusion to inclusion and create environments where diversity is valued and everyone feels like they belong. So that's kind of the why employment matters. It's why employment first matters. And for individuals with disabilities, it means that it's meaningful. Meaningful, when we talk about meaningful employment, that means specifically that it's making a contribution to an organization. We're not just having them do tasks just to do tasks. It's like Jim Click said, it's not just a charity. It's really adding value to an organization. For employers, it's embracing diversity, bringing fresh perspective, driving innovation, enhancing problem solving. So we're bringing different perspectives to the work environment. And then for our own community, it strengthens social bonds, boosts economic growth, and fosters a culture where everyone has the opportunity to contribute. And remember that when we believe that everyone can work, everyone can work. I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. When we believe that everyone can work, we open doors for employers, for our community, and then, of course, for the lives of people with the individuals with disabilities. So I want to address the two main there's a lot of misconceptions, but I want to address two of them. And despite the benefits, there are these barriers, and there are misconceptions that individuals with disabilities can't perform certain jobs or that accommodations are too expensive. But the reality is quite different. The reality is people with disabilities possess a wide range of talents and skills. Natalia shared that with us in her presentation as well. They see everyone for individuals, understanding their capabilities and their strengths so that they can put those strengths and interests to work. And many accommodations, or I like to refer to them as supports, are simple and inexpensive, like flexible schedule, headphones while at work, to kind of help hone in, for them to focus. Other assistive technology. They can make a significant difference in an employee's performance and comfort. And research has shown that 56% of accommodations or supports cost nothing. And then for things that do, the average price is $300. So I recently rented a car from Enterprise, and they asked me what I did because it came through the university, and I told them, and they said, is it true that I have to put in an elevator in my office if I want to have people with disabilities working here, even though it's a small one-story building? And I said, no, that's not true. And they said, well, that's one reason we were told that we have to have all these things in order to hire people with disabilities. So again, the misconceptions and that, accommodations are super expensive. So we can talk about this, but the most important thing is, what can we do? And I say we, because again, it's not you, it's me too, it's all of us. And when it's businesses and professionals and future leaders, so can play a pivotal role in what Employment First looks like and implementing it in Arizona. so that all Arizonans can work. And the first thing is we can focus on abilities and talents. I know I've said this in the last slide, or probably the last two slides, that is really the shift, focusing on what people can do, focusing on their strengths and interest, and see the value and unique skills that each individual brings. Using strength-based language, highlight their strengths, foster a positive mindset, recruit and employ. So individuals with disabilities, sometimes this means we have to be intentional. We need to find the spaces that they are. We need to reach out and collaborate with organizations like the Beacon Group. We need to recruit and employ, and this might mean making some changes, that it's not going to be the way you've always done things, and being intentional with it. Offer supports and accommodations, offer them. Don't wait for them. Like, what can we do to help you be more successful here? What can we do to help you, get this job done? Just offer them instead of waiting for people to come. Just ask people. Address individual needs to provide fair opportunities. So Natalia checked on this too a little bit about how everyone's an individual. That this is not about equality, but equity. This is about seeing people as an individual and ensuring that they have what they need to do their job. Take a minute and reflect on and acknowledge any of your unconscious biases. Why changing this job description or doing this support, why does that make you feel weird? Or why is it that maybe we have this misconceived notion that people with disabilities can't do as much? Take a minute, because that is kind of the start of the work in uncovering some of our unconscious bias and ableism within our communities, and more so in our workplaces. And then I mentioned this, to also partner with organizations that support people with disabilities and learn best practices. We're here today, you guys are here today learning, and that's a great start. Listening, being here, and learning more about hiring people with disabilities, talking with Jim Click, meeting with other organizations. And most importantly, the disability community has saying nothing about us without us. And it's listening and include people with disabilities. Are there people with disabilities on your board? Are they in the are they in the communications and the conversations about policy? Are they are you asking them, people with disabilities, what they want and what needs they might need, or just their overall perspective? So listen and include people with disabilities. So I invite each of you to believe, and that means embracing the belief that everyone can work. That's where it starts. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not easy. So implement the inclusive practice we discussed. Talked about, I gave some simple kind of things that we could do, each of us can do in our own lives and in our work lives, and then include, belong, lead by example, and encourage others to join in the movement. And when I talk about the movement, but it's just about hiring people with disabilities, setting the expectation of work for everyone. And employment first doesn't mean only employment. Natalia touched on choice, right? We just want to make sure that the information is available and the opportunity for competitive integrative employment out in form, workplaces and communities. It's no longer transactional, and we're enriching the lives by driving progress. So thank you for your time and your commitment. And if you'd like to continue the conversation about Employment First, we host monthly group discussion where we delve deeper into topics and tactics and share experiences and learn from one another. So it's a facilitated conversation. And I put there, there's a QR code there, but you can also go to our website and it's there. So thank you. And then there's my email for those who would like to reach out.
Lori, thank you. We really appreciate you joining us today. I want to apologize for the audio issue we're having on our end with the video. And thank you for still sharing Jason's story with us. I think it's so valuable to hear from those individuals that groups like the Sonoran Center for Excellence in Disabilities and the Beacon Group are helping. I mean, it really helps us to, to understand and grasp all of the work you guys do and how that benefits disabled individuals. So thank you for still sharing that. And now I'd like to ask Natalia and Bea to turn their videos back on, and we'll move into the Q&A session. So I think I'll kind of swing through each of you. There's a couple questions for each of you specifically, and then some questions that kind of fit for all of you. So maybe we'll start with Bea. Bea, the data that you showed us is from 2022. Can you tell us approximately when that 2023 data will be available, and if you plan to publish any additional articles on the MAP dashboard with that updated data?
Yes, the data will be available around December, and we are planning to update all the figures and the article next year. At the beginning of the next year will be a new article related to disability overview, general overview.
Wonderful. So I'll show everyone the MAP dashboard here at the end of the Q&A session, and where you'll find those current articles, and then you'll know where to find that new data in kind of probably January or February, you think? Sometime in January or February?
Yes,
Yeah.
probably.
Perfect.
Correct.
Great. So Natalia, there are some questions I know you mentioned about how the community can help, and funding is one of those. But can you talk a little bit more about how the Beacon Group is funded primarily?
Absolutely. So we kind of have a few funding sources on specifically the employment side. So on the business side, of course, it's just regular contracts. We contract with any business out where we serve, as you would with anybody else, for custodial service, document destruction, things like that. So there is funding available there, but that's really to pay for the services that we offer businesses. Then on the employment kind of training side of the business for us, it's Division of Developmental Disabilities and Managed Care Organizations. And that's really all Medicaid money. That's where it's coming from. It's coming from Access. We also are a provider through the Ticket to Work program. So that's Social Security Administration, as well as vocational rehabilitation.
Great, thank you.
So, yep. So we try to serve, a wide variety of disabilities, wide variety of people. And so we have a lot of funding sources that people can come to us through.
Lori, I was wondering, someone asked what do you see as the biggest impediment to increasing employment opportunities? And this might also be, Natalia, if you want to jump in on that afterwards, feel free.
So, so you asked, what is the greatest barrier to
increasing employment opportunities? Yeah.
It's probably a lot of what I touched on, which is the stigma, just the not having the expectation that people can work and contribute to an employer. And I understand that from many aspects of it, but I also think it's just we need to take time to make sure people have the information to make informed choices. So, and in addition, education for employment, for employers, there's just regarding employment for people with disabilities, there are a lot of audiences, families, the person, employers. And so it's just getting information and education about hiring people with disabilities.
Natalia?
Yeah, happy to add a little bit to that. So yeah, I agree with Lori about the stigma, and we have seen employers like being afraid that if they hire a person with a disability, does that mean that if they don't do the work well, that they have to, kind of have a completely different guidelines for people with disabilities versus non-disabilities? But the truth is, everybody still has their goals to meet. They have a job description. And so every single person would be held to the same, so to speak, performance standard. That's with or without accommodations. And so where the people with disabilities, come in is just usually they would have, let's say, a job coach to support them and to help them through those difficulties. But at the end of the day, the business doesn't really, other than providing reasonable accommodations, they don't really have to do anything else special where they, maybe they feel like that they can, if the person's not performing well, that there is nothing they can do. On the side of people with disabilities themselves, though, one of the big barriers, frankly, is Social Security and SSI and SSDI limits. We're seeing that a lot. When people with disabilities have a limit, an income limit and an asset limit that they have to meet in order to still qualify for assistance or access coverage, that stops a lot of people from earning more money, from taking on more hours. So that's a really big topic kind of that's out there that, I could spend hours talking about, but that's frankly a big barrier for people that even are wanting to work and they have a job. They are then restricting themselves to working less to make sure they don't, they don't fall off a cliff as far as those supports go.
Now, Lori, you touched a little bit on education there in your response, and I'm kind of wondering, and this question is for all of you, is what does the Arizona education system, kind of K through 12, but also universities, need to do to improve educational attainment for disabled people?
So I think specifically regarding education, I really think that the university has like the SALT Center and the accommodations, but I also think that it needs to be individualized to the person, like recognizing that education looks different. It might not just be a 4-year degree. It also might be, training, 2-year training, employment training. So for people in regards to education and accessing it, it goes back for me to supports primarily.
Natalia or Bea, would you like to jump in on that? Do you think, has any of you seen, like with COVID, and there's been this kind of movement, I know in my son's school district, there's this movement to having more flexible education, like you're kind of mentioning, and so there's some more virtual schooling, and some people with disabilities, depending on their disabilities, may do better in a virtual setting, they may not. But have you seen any improvement since COVID and the increase in flexibility? Have you heard of anything or seen any improvement?
I am probably not the expert to speak about education, so I'll stay out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a topic for another map talk in the future, because it is really important. The having these flexible education opportunities for all individuals, and including all of those with disabilities. So let's move on. In another kind of general question, and kind of going back to COVID, is the COVID pandemic disrupted employment for many people. Can you describe how disabled workers coped? And that question was addressed to you, Natalia, but Lori, if you want to jump in on that too, afterwards.
So yeah, I think we're probably quite unique in the business environment out there. So we never closed our doors. We continued serving people with disabilities. Of course, we definitely saw a decrease in attendance in certain programs. So the programs that really were kind of housed in our building, the daytime program, the employment in the building, doing production work, we have seen probably 50% or more decrease kind of right off the bat in attendance. But we were always open for anybody that, wanted to continue working, receiving services. That was very important to the entire leadership team. So we continued serving our business customers, and especially groups that would go out to other business locations. We did not see such a drastic decrease in our attendance at all, actually. So we actually saw some growth on the business side, especially on the custodial. We were pretty innovative in the services we could provide. So if anything, our growth on the business side there was significant. So that was great. We did have some of the services, specifically like job development and placement services, that we were able to do a little bit more virtually, and we have kept some of that. But frankly, a lot of what we do is that face-to-face group setting. And so, every single one of us was on the ground providing those services. We didn't have anybody go home. We didn't close our doors. That was very important to us.
I think the great thing about employment and the pandemic was it made people challenge the status quo and what we were currently doing in employment. Prior to that, we had lots of employers saying we can't do remote, we can't do, but the pandemic forced people to challenge that, or to look at it and to recognize that other options do actually work. And so from an employment standpoint, that's what I saw was the greatest thing, was that employers were opening their minds a little bit more, mostly because they needed to, but in all aspects. And when we think about people with disabilities, it's one of those instances where universal design, or where something that benefits people with disabilities also benefits the community or people without disabilities. And this is one of those examples. So I started to look at the trends to see if there was increased employment for people with disabilities with the pandemic and the remote. And we actually started to see kind of a tick up. And I think it's just that employers started to be thinking more flexible.
We had a question come in while we were discussing education, and Lori, it's addressed to you, and it was, do you find that high schools can help more on competitive integrated employment?
So,
go ahead.
sorry. The truth is this: we can all do more. We all have work to do. But yes, setting the expectation of work starts at home, and it also starts in the schools. It's in both places. And and providing the information. Natalia talked about informed choice, making sure that people with disabilities, people with IEPs or 504 plans have the information on what's available for employment, but not only what's available, but setting the expectation that they can work. So are we asking people what do they want to do when they grow up, even if they have a significant disability? Are we amplifying and helping them meet those goals? Or are we kind of like, it's kind of like the mom that says they can't boil water, right? So are we, what questions and what goals are we putting within their transition plans in order for competitive integrative employment to be the outcome? And that's probably, again, education and information and learning about employment in high school. But again, it goes back to expectation.
Thank you. So I think last question, we'll wrap up here. And this was directed to you, Bea, but I think it's a great question and opportunity for each of you kind of to have your final comments that you would like to say today. And the question is, what was the most surprising thing you learned in your research on disability topics? And that's addressed to you, Bea, but I also think, like, adding on to that, each of you, as you've worked in this area, over the last many years, right? What has been most surprising to you? And then, what are the best ways you see overall with the community helping support groups and those with disabilities gain employment in Southern Arizona? So go ahead, Bea, you can start.
Yes, I wrote 3 articles about disability related to education, employment, and even home furniture. And I think, I learned a lot on those 3 or 4 topics. And I guess that one thing that I caught my attention is we need more education programs and employment programs to focus on people with disability in regional in the region and the entire country. We need to do more things that it's an urgent because people with disability are need more a society with more resources for them, and they are fully capable of doing whatever they want to do in our society.
Thank you, Bea. Lori?
So I think so the end really is for me is like I think back into the people that I've met in over my career and it's the people who the most people didn't think could be employed. It's the people who, gave me all the reasons why they couldn't. And people with the most significant disabilities in the sense of non-speaking, maybe they don't read, all those kind of things. But when you talk about surprises or, it's really just about seeing that they can. And I think about them every day when I do this work because it's those people that we want. We want to make sure that people who want to work have the opportunities to do that. And what is it that they need to do that? How can we support them? And the question so much isn't about that, except for, about what you can't do, but it's how can I support you? How can I help you get there? We're not dream killers. We're about realistic supports and helping them get where they need to be.
Okay. And I would say for me, the most surprising thing is really how many people out there, people with disabilities, their families, people without disabilities, just they still don't know about organizations like Beacon and all the resources that are available. So, we're out there, we're coming to webinars, we make presentations, we hire employees, we hire staff, and how many people, myself included when I applied, have never heard about Beacon Group before. So I think there is a lot of work to do for everybody to spread the word, what's available, and how people with disabilities can get the extra support. It's hard to find a job for anybody. For a person without disability, it may take us months, right? If somebody's searching for a job and just looking for that right thing, it may take you months to apply, submit resumes. Well, for a person with a disability, it's that much harder. So, we need time, money, and a change in hiring mentality in the community. That's when hopefully one day all of us don't have to exist, our nonprofit organizations, because there's no need to help because the community is just there to support, nobody, no matter who walks through the door.
Yeah, thank you. I think those are really great finishing comments today. And I want to thank both you, Lori and Natalia, for the amazing work you do and for joining us. And Bea, for all of the great research that you've done on this topic that we can publish on the MAP dashboard so that we can get more information out to the community, to businesses, to government officials, just individuals that are invested in our community so that they are aware of the different kind of organizations that exist around this topic. And so I'm going to screen share real quick here so I can show you where to find that data and information that we have. And so this is the MAP Dashboard website. If you scroll down just a little bit below that top header, you'll find I have pinned the 3 articles that Bea wrote on disability. And you'll see the one she referenced the most today is the middle one, individuals with disability in Tucson, education, employment, and earnings. But we also have information and data on poverty and healthcare costs for disabled individuals, and then a general disability data overview looking at how Tucson and the state does relative to other regions around the Western U.S. So these will stay up here for a few days on the MAP dashboard if you want to click on them. Later, if you come back, they'll always be up here in our library. If you click on that library link, you'll be able to find those articles. They've been published over the last couple of months, so they'll be on page 1 or 2 of all of our articles that we have available. And then also, if anybody's on the call that has never visited the MAP dashboard or isn't on our newsletter, I encourage you to go down here and subscribe for updates. And this will allow you to get information about MAP Talks like we have today, different webinars, different topics that we're researching and publishing on the MAP dashboard. And then finally, this video will be published. It will be right here sometime tomorrow, late morning probably. And so you'll be able to find the recorded MAP Talk here and you'll be able to share that with your colleagues. And I'll also post any slides that our presenters are able to share with me. So thank you for attending today. We really appreciate your support of the MAP dashboard and have a great afternoon.